My name is Al Hackel. I'm from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm a machinist and a welder. So I guess if we start at the front wheel and move back, so the front forks, I looked at a Vincent hydraulic forks and I said this is kind of a fun thing, and I've never really seen anybody else use this design, so I made a longer version of that. I made my own engine using one cylinder from a Wright R975-46. It's a helicopter engine left over from World War II. I guess that's my favorite part actually, is the whole reason for doing the project is the engine, because I made the crankcase. Well, pretty much everything here started out as solid blocks of aluminum, and I just, what do you do? I guess you get rid of everything that doesn't look like an engine. So the valve covers, I guess I watched too much Flash Gordon with my dad as a kid. That's where I started with the project. I had the cylinder head and I kept staring at it and kept thinking, boy, this needs different valve covers than, because when it was in a radial engine, it was just these little tiny short stamped steel covers, and they're not really anything exciting. So I made these, and I got done and they looked really plain, and I'm thinking, well, gee, it's just begging for a fin right down the middle of it. And that's where I say it kind of has that ray gun Gothic feel to it, because I watched way too much Flash Gordon as a kid. Weber DCOE carburetor here with glass velocity stacks, which I think is kind of neat. So for however long chopper riders have been smoking weed, I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually like take bong parts and put them on a motorcycle. And I'm kind of surprised that I was the first guy to get here. Maybe I'm not, but you know, I think we are. So yeah, Jesse Briggs out of Maritimer Glassworks in Canada made these glass velocity stacks, and he made my taillight, which the taillight is probably like my actual favorite part of the bike. I made the rear wheel, the rear hub. So I'm big into early Fords, hot rods, and kind of one of the most sought after brakes for the front of an early Ford hot rod is what they call a Rocky Mountain brake. And it has this cutout to allow for more air to get in there. And I thought, well, that's really neat. Can I use one of those as my rear hub? And well, I couldn't use one of those as my rear hub, so I just kind of designed something that looked like it a little bit. The whole experience, I sat down in my shop and started building this in, it would have been probably about October 1st or something like this. And until last night, I was still making parts for the bike. And I didn't do much else. My family left for Christmas and I stayed here for 5 days, in the coldest 5 days of the year. And you know, I don't remember doing anything for Thanksgiving. Like just any spare minute I had was making parts for this. And I found that to be really terribly isolating. And so that's the biggest struggle there was like, I saw nobody and did nothing interesting in the last 6 months. I mean, I got this, but it's not what I expected. The biggest reason it's not done is because, well, let's list the parts I didn't make. I didn't make the transmission, I didn't make the carburetor, and I didn't make the magneto. We're kind of running out of parts I didn't make there. And that's just a lot to do in 6 months. It probably was an unrealistic expectation for me to think that, hey, I can get this whole thing done, be ready to roll down the road in 6 months. I don't think that's a true thing. So I'm not bothered by the fact it's not done. It's, you know, I got so much more to do. It is what it is, you know. So I've never made a gas tank before. I've made exactly one sheet metal project before this gas tank. I made a lid for my wife's cast iron pan. It was a rectangular pan. She couldn't find a lid, so I made a lid for that. Other than that, I've never done any metal shaping. So I made the tank out of 90 thousandths 50-52 aluminum. I had to make the planishing hammer first because that's the kind of person I am. So I made a planishing hammer, then I made the tank, and I learned a lot making a tank. It came out okay, I think. In doing the industrial repair, you get such a wide variety of skills. You know, it's called job shop machining, and it means you kind of have to know a little bit about every tool in the shop so you can fix any problem that might come up in the middle of the night. And as a result of that, I went into this with a really wide skill set that I think most people don't have the opportunity to get. So, you know, making the front end, making the frame, even machining the cases, that was all well within something I knew I could do. The tank, never tried it before. I mean, I did kind of coast it around the shop a little bit. I think I might have a little bit too much trail. It's about 4.5 inches of trail, but it seems to have a lot of flop, and I don't know if that's just the short bars or if it really has too much trail. And until I, get riding a little bit, I won't, because maybe it'll handle great. Rolling it back and forth, you really don't get a great picture of it. Steve Connect for painting my frame. Jim Dunham for painting my tank. My neighbor Carl for bringing me firewood all winter long and helping out when needed. My wife for making space for the project and allowing me to have the time to do this while she took care of our beautiful children. And Jesse Briggs from Maritimer Glassworks, who made all the glass accents for this. So thank you.